What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode 60 of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by the coolest dudes in video games, Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller. And for the first time ever, the legend himself, Brandon Jones.
In that order.
Yeah.
I think that's how the coolness tier goes.
I don't know. You're somewhere in there.
Now, the guest is always cooler.
Yeah.
We just have to get the coolest dudes.
Oh, okay.
That's
it's
their
in our
thing.
rider.
That's how
It's
that
in our
works.
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, Brandon, how might people know you?
I've done some things. I did, some local community musical theater for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're some unemployed dude. I don't know why you're on this show.
I've written some fan fiction.
Uh-huh.
But I was the founder, editor-in-chief, and recently editor-in-chief, but founder and voice of GameTrailers for 13 years.
Yeah, you guys probably
GameTrailers.com.
recognize that voice.
Yeah.
It's very...
It is different. Every now and then people are like, do the voice. And I'm like, I actually have to be reading something to like sound like
to like jump right
review
into
thing,
it.
yeah.
But
But
I hear it though.
a little bit.
I mean, I almost feel like you're gonna like review the show.
That was
which
always
is
a
not
nice compliment,
favorable
though,
for
when
it.
people didn't, because I didn't get a camera for a long time, and people didn't recognize like my face. Like once a year, I'd get some guy being like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
You're like at a
Voice?
drive-through.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I first met you at E3 last year. You came up to me, started talking, and I was like, "Okay, I don't
Who
know
are you,
this
sir?"
guy, but this feels familiar." And then you said, "I'm like, oh my god, yes, holy shit!" It was just one of those like mind-blowing moments of like, I've heard you for a million years.
Yeah, and that's like my own damn fault. It's like I should have gotten in front of the camera way
Yeah.
earlier. I should not have named my Twitter handle GameTrailers VO. Like lots of things. I'm like, I should have put myself more out there. But at the same time, it's kind of nice having people not know who you are. Anonymity is kind of fun. If you can like make a project, have that be successful and just kind of stand back in the wings.
Yeah, definitely cool.
But,
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Gamescast. If you're not familiar, every week we get together. A lot of times recently there's been guests, so that's kind of cool. We talk about video games. We talk about all the things we love and all that stuff. You can get this early over at patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. If you don't want to get it early, you can get it at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, where it's broken up topic by topic, Monday through Thursday, full episode Friday. You know, the whole deal. This one's going to be worth $1. I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely tell.
Right away.
Let's get right into it. What's the future of the Game Trailers boys?
Oh, I thought you said the GameTrailers boys. You got to be specific because the future of GameTrailers is if there's
Is
We're
not,
done.
yeah.
Well, the book has been closed. The history's been written.
But I mean, I feel like this is the thing that, like, obviously, like I asked on Twitter, like, what do you guys want me to ask
Just
Brandon?
answer the question, Jones, and then get the hell out of here.
Everybody just wants to know, what is the future? What is the plans? Like, you've had your meetings, you've talked, NeoGAF is exploding with, conspiracy theories,
Well,
trying to figure it all out.
What's funny, Tim, is I actually had planned to come up here to SF because SF is rocking in the games industry.
Oh, yeah, you might have heard.
And I don't spend nearly enough time here. I'm always up here for like an event, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
And so I actually planned to come up here before any of this stuff went down. And it's actually very fortuitous, I think, that like I was on Total Biscuits podcast last week, but like really looking forward to chatting with you guys about this. We talked a little bit before. Yeah, I mean, we want to come back. I had a meeting with all the boys, and I was curious. I really didn't know like who's going to be interested, who wouldn't. Like some of them might have already had jobs already. I didn't know. And they were all pretty game to get back in the biz. If we do something moving forward, there's no doubt it'll be independent. I have no need to like build something up and sell it off to somebody else. That was fun. That was my
Been there, done that.
That was my 30s. Moving on.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I can't specify exactly how it's going to work or what it's going to do. You guys got a pretty good model.
Yeah.
Maybe we can
It works.
ape some of that if it works.
I mean,
But,
have you thought about Patreon specifically, and like, have you thought about other things besides that?
Yeah, I don't want to throw out the P word just yet because I haven't read all the stuff. I haven't done all of the research, but it definitely some kind of system we can get people investing because it's not something that I guess I can just throw this down on the table there. It was something we were considering, that we did consider for a long time. I remember we brought in someone, I think in like 2006, way back in the day, to kind of look at our business model. And he's like, you guys are nuts if you're not asking for subscriptions. Like, I don't know why you guys aren't doing that. So it is something that was always in the back of our minds. And now's the perfect time to test it.
That was heartwarming on the day where the news came down and you guys did your final Twitch stream or whatever. When I got there a little bit early and was just watching the chat, and like literally it was everybody saying, oh, totally, wherever they go to Patreon. I'll give you money. I'll do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, people get it, and we're this example of like, the audience gets it, right? That they now, if they like a content creator and that content creator goes on their own, they have to support it, right? And it's like, even like we were talking about with our numbers, right? Where it's like, all right, 320,000 YouTube subs or whatever it is, right? And you go to Patreon, it's like 7,000 on Kind of Funny Prime, and it's like those 7,000 people are the ones who will give us $82,000 to make a cartoon, right? They understand what's happening.
And I think that's one of the biggest things to reconcile is like our need to get back in, people's desire to see us do stuff, and just kind of that happy medium where it's something that we can do that's that we can support, that we can be consistent, because I don't want to start something and then like 4 weeks later, it doesn't work, or this person left, or and at the same time something that meets people's expectations.
No, and that's a huge hassle. You know what I mean?
It's tricky. Yeah.
We got to plan for months and months and months before we left, and then you guys have to do it like in reverse now.
And what I think, what I really like that I've kind of been obsessed with actually ever since like social media got up and going is transparency. And I think it's something that, obviously is a very hot button issue, in the industry, and it's kind of exciting at this point to realize like, we kind of got to get our ducks in the row before we like officially announce something. I would love to do it now, but we're still trying to figure everything out. But I'm very eager to bring everyone into as much of the process as possible. It's like, we don't want you guys to think, here we are, and then you're all outside of that. It's like you guys are a part of
your eyes my tower.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, so, in the vein of that, like what did the meetings you have kind of come out with? Like, what were you talking about doing? Like, what are the things that you want to do if you were to go independent and do all this stuff?
Well, I mean, there's no question that we can definitely all get back streaming again. It's just and some of us have already done that. Like Mike Huber has actually been very, I think the next day immediately was like, all right, let's play some PS4. And so I think that, I think at the very minimum, that's something you can do at very, low cost and something that, we want to be streaming with these guys again. I was tempted to just jump right back in and just like, just hook up the PS4 camera and boom, I'm streaming again. But I'm like, I want to wait until we have a vision. So it's something that people can latch onto and not just like, oh, it's better than nothing. I think at the very least, there's no reason whatsoever why we can't all get back streaming again. So I think whatever it ends up being, that'll basically be the introduction. That'll be the start of it. I can guarantee that. So
where are you at right now in the breakup cycle? You know what I mean? Because it's like, the 12 stages or whatever. Where are we at right now with you?
I just got my new apartment, basically. I moved out. It's like
brighter days are ahead.
It helps, I guess, to have some busy work, where you're just like, oh, okay, we'll sort through all the mugs. Okay, this is your mug, this is my mug. And we had 13 years of games, of equipment, of cables, of how many HDMI cables do I really need? I mean, like RCA, like audio cables, like we don't need those at all. Do you have any plugged in over there? Like, do we even need that? Like XLR cables? Like, do I need 10 of these? I don't know. So just that,
composite cables for an original PS1.
I've just been binging seasons 1 through 4 of the X-Files and just going box by box by box. So yeah, that was kind of nice to just have something to do, have time to do it. But I actually, just finished that like I think Thursday. So like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week, especially this week too. I'm just gonna like sit down a laptop and just break everything down, throw all the ideas out there. Create a forum online where we can all just kind of like throw ideas and suggestions and stuff. So actually solidifying plans, if there are to be plans, started like 3-4 days ago. So.
What's been all of your guys' kind of reaction to all the fans and to the forums and the threads and the
this has been surreal, dude. I mean, I think one of my biggest hopes, there have been some frustrating days in GT where I wish the whole thing would just end. I'm just like, this is so frustrating. This is so like, we want to do this, but we're getting the kickback here, and just like, I wish I could just move on to something else. I think it was it was a shock initially, but like it was kind of something that we always knew was in the cards. So it's difficult because it's something that we talked about, it's something that we joked about. I love Ian Hink to death, but the guy I just want to like sock in the face sometimes. And I literally like closed the door and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a private meeting, and Ian's like, oh, go shut down. I'm like,
yeah, nailed it.
Thanks, Ian.
I mean, kind of going off all of that, like, so you said the writing's on the wall or whatever. Like, when did that happen? Like, when did you kind of think like, okay, this might end at some point?
I think like 2013, 2014. We always it wasn't like, let's make plans, because obviously we're not, we haven't made plans, which is why we're kind of scrambling right now to be like, okay, what do we want to do?
Where's everybody 2 years to plan,
right? But always keeping in the back of our mind that we're very fortunate, people in this room included, to do what we do, to be involved in the industry, to like not actually have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make video games, but still hang out with the people that do and still go to these events and stuff like that. It's like we should just thank our lucky stars every single day that we get to do this. So we were grateful, thankfully. But I mean, it's what I was hoping that if we did get shut down, I'm like, I just want an article on Polygon and Kotaku. That's all I want. I just want like the news websites out there to register that something happened big today and that, something ended. But it was like Forbes article, like I feel guilty because I don't think I've watched all of the YouTube videos. And I'll like, someone will be like, here's, I made a testimony to GameTrailers, how much I love you guys. And I'll click, it's like 35 minutes. I'm like, I oh man,
I
don't know if
got so
have
much
time.
X-Files to watch.
Well, but I mean, even if I put that on in the background
I
and work
know.
on something, like I'm not really focusing on it. And I
Yeah.
really want to give you your time because that's crazy that you made, because that's what I do. Like we make videos about how much we love video games, and now you're making a video
Yeah.
about us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's completely surreal.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense though. I mean, like, cause for me, I'm kind of in a unique position where like these guys grew up with the the video game magazines and like
Oh, yeah.
journalism and all that
EGM,
stuff.
baby.
I grew
Yeah.
up with the videos. Like for me, Game Trailers was like back in the day, like that was the destination. Like I've been a video guy through and through forever, both making and consuming. And it's so interesting to me to see how Game Trailers grew from being the destination, and then all of a sudden, then IGN and the GameSpots and all them came, and then YouTube came and all
Machinima.
that. Like and obviously
Oh, yeah.
Machinima. Back when the YouTube thing happened, like did you see that as the writing on the wall moment?
yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the outsiders, and myself included, were like, ooh, like this is kind of the beginning of the end for Game
Big
Trailers.
time. Yeah, that would there is another universe. There was some like bizarro GT universe where like Viacom was like, well, steal South Park and Daily Show episodes. We don't care. Yeah, Game Trailers, go and do whatever you want on YouTube, and like things would have been very different. Yeah,
Just
that
for
was
the
definitely-
uneducated,
that
that's
was
what
definitely a
happened,
path.
right? You were owned
Yeah.
by Viacom, and Viacom had a fight with YouTube. and was
Viacom
like, you guys can't
didn't
go
like people stealing their stuff, had a massive lawsuit that lasted years and years and years and years. I remember getting like the email that was like, like lawsuit's over. And I'm just like, thanks. Congratulations, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very clearly, Viacom had a lot of issues with just digital across the board. It's just like, what do we do with this thing? We'll beat it. And it's like, you're not going to beat it. That's not how you,
Yeah.
this is a bad place to start,
Yeah.
start with a fight and then just like, okay, now we like YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from you guys' perspective, was there a fight on your part? Like, did you guys want to be on YouTube, or
Oh,
did
yeah.
you kind of see YouTube
Yes.
as like a
No,
weird
yeah,
thing?
we were all about it. I mean, we had youtube.com/GameTrailers. That was, you guys certainly can appreciate, like coming up with a new thing, having a name,
Yeah.
and just like that blew my mind that we got that. So it was just like there's all sorts of stuff we can do. Not only like that should be a place that you should go to watch trailers. You should go to youtube.com/GameTrailers and like there's all your trailers.
Yeah.
And it was just it wasn't a directive for Viacom, unfortunately.
Yeah. Man.
But,
Because I think that, Game Trailers, had a resurgence maybe 2 years ago or whatever, when you guys started doing all the YouTube stuff and having all the shows and stuff. And that's also, not only was it finally on YouTube for the first time, but it was also personality based. It wasn't just here's Game Trailers, here's reviews. Like, this voice, but it doesn't mean anything. Like the person doesn't mean anything to you.
Right.
It's just more the voice of the content. But now it's like all of a sudden Brandon Jones is a person, Kyle Bossman is a person, and having the different shows. Like, how was that transition for you guys?
I think that was slow enough that we were able to manage it. Kyle, I think, actually was kind of like the pioneer there. That like he was a crazy success story. I remember like E3 2011 or something. Like we were doing the Nintendo press conference, and like he was freaking out behind me. I'm like, whoever this guy is really likes Nintendo. And then just like a year later, he's like got his own show. He's got more Twitter followers than me. He's just like out of control. So I think he kind of showed, definitely certainly from Mike Huber, like that was an inspiration. Jeremy Hoffman, who produced GTTV, started Mandatory Updates. So like that was his, initiative. So yeah, that made a lot of sense. And actually, just getting back to a point we were talking about earlier about anticipating how the reaction that this would have, the GT being shut down. I think one of the reasons I wasn't going to be too optimistic about like everybody getting involved or everybody having something to say was because there were so many different iterations of it. I think there were like 8 different, versions of GT. There was like the aggregation GT, starting reviews in 2005, bringing on Shane Satterfield and having that big editorial team. The Jeff Keighley era where we did all access and just, like amazing E3 coverage, and then doing the shows on YouTube later. So I almost expected everybody to have like a different, their version of Game Trailers. It was like, well, I was in that era,
GT
and then I
died
bailed
years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought I was going to get a lot of that, of people being like, well, I haven't, been on that site for 4 years, therefore it's not relevant to me anymore. And that didn't happen. That was the reaction's been pretty crazy. But yeah, I think just the show production wasn't a huge transition. I think the big transition was like, what should our thumbs look like? What's the dialogue that we have on Facebook, on YouTube, on the site, on Twitter, like how do we approach all of these different things? And that was actually one of the really great things about working with Defy, is going in and seeing how Smosh operates, how Clever operates, how Screen Junkies operates, and just kind of like seeing what works for them and learning from that, and seeing like, oh, that's specific to them, and we don't need to do that.
Something we were talking about out there is identity. And
Yeah.
how, for us, Kind of Funny was the evolution of Game Over Greggy. And we had to really kind of decide what is Kind of Funny, what is Kind of Funny Games. And, we came up with that answer of just, it's transparency. It's us just, talking about the things we love. And that is our thing. And I feel like with Game Trailers, but back in the day, it was just game trailers, and then now it's way more of like I see you guys kind of as like the positive voice of just I just love video games, you know.
Right.
I'm very much like that, you know what I mean, and that's why I enjoy that stuff. But when you first made game trailers, what was kind of the identity of it?
The identity was, why am I paying for video game media? That was the identity. It was I co-founded it with a guy named Jeff Groats, who took off in like 06, 07 for greener pastures, and I had a subscription to IGN. He had a subscription to GameSpot. I think like Wind Waker was the first. Wind Waker and Resident Evil Remake were the first like 640, 720 by 480 videos. We were like, whoa, like this is full screen video on the internet of games. This is crazy. And every day I would go to the apple.com/trailers and watch the movie trailers for free. And then like there was this one day we were sitting around. I'm like, why am I not paying for movie trailers, but I'm paying for game trailers? That doesn't make sense. We're just like, oh, like I wonder if that URL's taken. And like just like you said, we're like, can't believe we got kind of funny. I was like, get out of here. GameTrailers.com is taken. Like $15, thank you. So yeah, it was not, it was funny because we're all film majors and we all, we're editors, so we wanted to get into video editing, but like that was not something we thought about. It was literally just like, let's just be Robin Hood. Let's just get trailers from wherever we can and give it to the people for free. And then we started.
I'm sure that didn't
stuff.
piss anybody off.
No, not at all. Yeah, that was not our goal. But I think one of the happiest things, one of the things I take the most pride in, stepping away from this and starting something new was that sentiment that you said, Tim, has been echoed so many times about like, you guys are positive. That's why I like you. You guys, not that there isn't negative things or things to argue about in the industry, but like I can go here and you guys focus on that stuff. And what makes me feel good is that wasn't like, we didn't write that on the wall. Like when streams start, I didn't go in there and I'm like, okay, guys, smiles, remember, keep it happy.
Nice.
That was just kind of us,
Yeah.
So like, I think that I'm really proud of that just naturally happened. It's
Well, yeah.
just like,
So the next question is, what's the identity of the modern, like you guys being a thing?
I think identity is a tricky word. I mean, obviously the same thing. I mean, more of the same and less of a focus. I really want to make something that's community based because I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken away. I actually have met more people in the last 2 years in the industry than I met in the 11 years before that, because I've gone to like PSX is great. Like I went to DICE last year for the first time ever in Vegas and like, met so many crazy, interesting people. But I think the community is probably one of the biggest, as far as if I was to place value on anything, it would be these people. If I was to decide not to do this and move forward to another career, that would absolutely break my heart. That there's just like, I'm not connected with these people anymore. I can't, at least once a week, sit down and have a conversation with them. The fact that like 3 days later, I'm in the office packing up boxes and I just happened to have our Twitch channel open up in a browser. And I was just like, I wonder. And I click and like, they're still talking. There's still a conversation going. They might be in there right now chatting away. Just like, that's beautiful. That's very special.
That's awesome, man.
And I love each one, each of those people. It was funny. Like the day of, when I told the team, I was like, calm and collected. I was talking to all sorts of, people at Defy about like transitioning out and how that was going to go and the procedure. Didn't shed a tear. And then we got on the stream and I'm just like, like an Oscar speech. It was like,
that must have been a moment though, man. I mean, like 13 years. That's crazy. And so many iterations of what it's been.
And it's tricky to think like, would I have wanted a week so we could have planned a big thing, or is it better to just rip the Band-Aid off, get out of there?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know
personally, I think that is the best, is just rip it off. But I think the best thing would have been, and here's what we're doing now, and like kind of ride off that. But you don't have that luxury when you don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even then a week would.
Yeah, way to waste your last day at work. You should. I know. Everybody in a room right now. I got to figure this out.
But I something else we were talking about out there is I think it's cool that the identity of you guys now is this positivity and is this new personality based stuff, and it's kind of cool to see the parallels between you doing the game trailers and doing that for the love and the passion of the hype of video games, and like, why are video games exciting? The trailers, you know what I mean? It's these moments. And I feel like what you're doing now, it's really kind of a natural progression of that, of just like celebrating hype,
Yeah. Hype and hope, the silver lining, it's like before. And that's what I think, I remember being really proud of just kind of like what we do and how we do it when it was either Polygon or Kotaku, I can't remember, specifically stated like, we're going to focus on games after launch. Like that's going to be our main vision. And I was like, cool, we're doing the other thing. Like we're like, you take that. That's great. Like if the esports is doing cool stuff and some crazy story came out of some guy who asked his girlfriend to marry him through, some online game or something like that, like in League of Legends or whatever, like that's great. But just something that's so fascinating about from that moment that you find out something exists. I'm in like, it's funny because I'm like in that place now where it's like, we're starting a new thing and I'm gonna have to like put my money where my mouth is to like advertise that and like pitch that to people. But just like from the moment something gets announced to the moment it launches, it's not like a thing. It's not tangible. You can't put your hands on it. And like you go to an event, you play the Division for 4 hours, but it's like, do I really know what this game is? And that's just fascinating to me. Just like how that can change, how a tweet can ruin a game. You know, like how one video can be great and the next video, it's like, you're done. Your advertising's finished. It's over. With movies, with TV, it's just, I'm really fascinated by that. Because people don't think, I remember when I started scoring trailers, people were like, why are you even talking about this? Like, trailer editing is an art. I'm like, are you nuts? Like, what? Like, that's crazy. Why do people go to school for it? I don't that's nuts. So yeah, that'll always be, whether that's a part of what we do moving forward, that'll always be. I'll definitely be doing, regardless of what we do, I'm going to do streaming and, you know, stuff on my own Twitch channel, Trailer Jones, and YouTube channel. So I'll probably still stay focused on trailer stuff, but advertising is just fascinating.
Yeah.
Some people are really good at it. Some people aren't.
I mean, is there any chance of you continuing something like the Retrospective series? Because I gotta be honest,
The Retrospective,
those are the best things in the entire
the
world.
reason why they're the best things in the entire world, the Retrospectives are like, it's like turducken. It's like, what was that, like Crocovane, or what's the, it's like going to a super fancy restaurant and you eat like a steak that's been like cured for like a week. And you're just like, that was really good. Can I have another one of those tomorrow? And you're like, no. Those retrospectives were the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, without a doubt. I mean, like to the point where some of the later ones that we did, I'd have to like cut corners, or there'd be like some game. I'm like, oh, I'll play like 10 minutes of this and throw it up, and it would break my heart because I'm like, I want to dive into this.
It's like, oh, I gotta put Code
and show
Veronica
the ending
in
and
this.
show, you know, like when the retro's over and I have a big montage, I want to show like the last clip from that one game. And I mean, the hours were just insane. And the reward for the work that we were putting in at some point just it didn't add up. We're like, oh, we can't work on this stuff anymore. But
That's always hard.
Yeah.
But those were fun. And just educating people about games is really fun. And I think will be very fun moving forward because, you know, like I'll get in conversations with people now. It's like the moment where you realize you're old, where you're like, blah, 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 this reference. And they're like, what? And you're like, what? What are you talking about? You don't know what that is? And just like, you know, Crash Bandicoot? Like, no idea what that is. And you're like, well, I need to make a video explaining to you what Crash Bandicoot is.
No one needs that video.
Yes, everyone needs that video. You don't know Crash. Get the fuck out of here.
So,
save the Bandicoot.
So educating is fun. It's fun to you know to let the masses know what's up. It's more enticing than a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you can agree with that, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my favorite stuff to do at IGN. Now we just talk about whatever the fuck it is. We talk about a grapefruit lady.
Don't spoil the Game Over Review show.
But yeah, I think if we were to set up like a stretch goal list, that would probably be the absolute, you know, the top.
You're
peak.
giving us $2 million.
Yeah, exactly. That's
the
the Mount Olympus of GT version 2. Is like, hey, if you guys are down, you know, if we get enough support, you know, we can get back into that. But I literally, I'll have to call them something different because if I throw the word retrospective into a conversation with my wife, her facial expression changes. She's like, "You're what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it'll just be a tiny one." She's like, "Okay," because you didn't sleep when you.
I was gonna say she says goodbye to you for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously,
I wish it was 3 weeks. Months, dude. Months. Yeah. Final Fantasy was a year. I mean, like that 13-part thing was, you know, a year if not more.
You should make
just
13 too.
every day, nonstop, just working on that.
Yeah. Obviously, this is all not confirmed or official or anything, but like, what are the thoughts in your mind about if that's the final stretch goal?
Right.
What are other goals?
Doing reviews again. That's tough because I think reviews, we can't like, you know, we can't just like have a couple guys and we'll review something every now and then. It's like, I'd want to do it or not do it. You know, I'd want to get back in and get everyone on the phone and try to get every game we possibly can, or just stream games, talk about games. But it's like, if we're actually going to put a score on something, I don't want, you know, more games coming out and people being like, why don't you review that? Why aren't you scoring that? And it's like, we just don't have the support. We don't have the team. We can't support the team that we had before. So that's like right under retrospectives probably.
But what's a little earlier on? Like, what are the things that you're like, all right, we want these things to actually
bring in shows
happen.
back, bring in Bosman back, bring in Mandatory Update back, bring in Huber back, which just basically means an editor and a place to shoot. So which exists, but again, it's like making that commitment to do it full time. You know, getting Kyle on board, getting Ian on board, having the place, scheduling out. Okay, next Tuesday after that, Tuesday after that. And being like, we're all agreeing right now we're going to do this for at least a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah. So is it the whole crew? Like everybody's down and
Supposedly,
everybody wants to be a part of it?
Supposedly.
Well, because you never
I know.
Because you never know. I mean, like, and that's gonna be difficult really to express in a lot of stuff that we're doing. That like I can't make these guys stick around. You know, like if Ben gets a job, if Kyle, you know, gets a hosting gig, starts selling Bud Light somewhere else, you know, then I'm not going to stop them. You know, I would hope that our audience would support them in that endeavor and you know, see this as both an opportunity for us to start something new and for people to go someplace else. That was when Elise Williams left us and went to Funhouse, and she had a meeting with me, and she was was getting teary eyed, and she was like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "I am so happy for you. You get to go to work with your dog and your husband every day. That's amazing. Like I want that for you." So like if I send an email out tomorrow and literally got a response back from every member of the team, they're like, "We all have jobs now." I'd be like, "Oh," like that would suck because we have less time, to possibly get back to what we were doing before. But more power to you. If you're actually happy in this next step in your career, it's like, what more could I want?
Well, where's your head at though? Like, would you take another job, or is this like you're like, I'm doing something else again?
I am really enjoying sleeping in right now. Sleeping in's really great. So I'm doing a lot of that. X-Files is pretty good. I might cut out. When did Mulder leave? Like episode season 6?
Something like that.
He made like 6. Yeah,
but
probably
then you get the T1000 for a little bit.
Oh boy. Okay, I don't know if I got that far. But yeah, definitely not going all 9 seasons on there. I'll probably stop around 5 and 6. But I've been doing this for GameTrailers is the only job I've ever had, really. Like I worked at an animation company that turned into GameTrailers, basically, straight out of college. I was working there during college, so like I graduated from college and had a job which became GameTrailers, which I now don't work at anymore. So it's like,
which no longer exists.
It's tricky to say, and it's probably a really boring answer, but like all 3 places at once. There's like the Brandon Jones. It's like, having time off is great. There's the Brandon Jones. It's super fired up to get everybody back together. There's the Brandon Jones. It's like, I could do something else, because why not, why not at least accept that possibility?
Yeah.
But I would say the middle Brandon Jones is probably the most motivated right now to see what we can do. Because it's not just, let's take advantage of the opportunity now that somebody, made the decision to shut GameTrailers down, but this is a extremely fascinating climate. This is not 2002. This is a whole different era. So it's exciting to see, what's possible. And it's tricky because it's when you put something forward, especially if it's going to be crowdfunded, you can't be like, here's this thing, it's going to be a success. Like I'd rather put something forward and be like, here's this thing, let's all work on it together.
Let's see how it works.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
On the wall. Kevin, correct me if do we have enough money to hire Brandon? No. Okay, sorry. Putting it out there.
I like your haircut, Kevin.
You have a nice haircut. Lean in and show everybody your haircut, Kevin. Because now we've referenced it. They need to see it. Second screen experience.
Yeah.
There it is. Nice looking head of hair. Good job, Kevin.
Woo.
Yeah.